So in this video, I want to talk about a few bits and pieces of information that I'd like to get for commissioning. So we've already covered the fact that we want the serial number off the side of the box down here and the serial number from the outdoor unit there. So when we're doing our commissioning of this heat pump, one of the things that is really key is that we get a photo of the model and serial number here off the left hand side. And of course, when the unit's running, we want to check it sounds okay, it's running okay. So one of the things that we do, a little test for you, is we ask you to make a note of the temperature here, which we're going to read from the controller. And before the unit's starting, then we're going to start it up and see what the temperature looks like. So in this case, you can see there's nothing in front of it, but if we had a brick wall here or something along those lines, the air will bounce round and we'll go through the unit twice, which is not what we want to happen. So it's key that you measure the temperature before and during running, and we can see that data on the unit. But let me show you a few bits and pieces of info you can get from the unit. It's quite a sophisticated bit of kit. It measures 100 different things, so you can see them all. So if you go setting and you go to status in this case, you can see on the screen what's going on. So we haven't got a third-party controller for a pool, we haven't got one for domestic hot water, quick stops like a shutdown for fire alarms, so we don't use this. So most of this stuff's not particularly useful for us. We don't have smart grid and so on, so you can see a lot of this is not particularly useful. And yeah, things like the indoor temperature is not used, the three-way valve temperature is not used, we don't use this. So a lot of these are basically not particularly useful bits of information in this screen. So all the way to the bottom, and you'll see essentially what's going on. But let's see right down the bottom, the three-way valve is currently off. If it is off, it means that we are pointing towards the heating. The sterilization or the Legionella is currently off, and the tank immersion heater is off. We can see the buffer tank temperature, we can see the DHW tank temperature, and so on, all the way down. So gas boiler is for a bivalent system we don't have, and so on. So really only bit of information in there really is DHW temperature and so on. If you go to IDU, it currently says the unit stopped, so the unit's just turned itself off. It should be on. It's because I have no outdoor units. It's particularly upset with me at the moment. You can see if the unit's in defrost, you can see if any of the heaters are running and so on. You can tell if the pump is running and so on. You can see what's going on here. You can see the speed of the pumps at 100%, and you can see this. So this is really interesting when we are actually measuring what we really want to know. You can see a thing called pump flow in litres per minute. This is not the flow rate. This is the flow rate that the unit has estimated based on the current drawn by the pump. What we want to know a little bit further down here is a flow rate which is further down, but I want the indoor unit water temperature and indoor water, the outlet temperature. So this is flow and return. It's actually bizarrely measured at the outdoor unit, which says IDU, which is one of those things. And we want this one, IDU flow meter. So this is the flow meter, the proper flow meter measuring the flow rate. So I want this one and the flow and return temperature. So you go to IDU, scroll halfway down, and I went outlet water temperature, inlet water temperature, and the IDU flow meter reading. You can also see some cumulative run times and so on. It tells you how long the unit's been running. If you go to outdoor unit, this one's very much for the fridge engineers. It tells you the voltage for the unit, the frequency of the unit. It tells you what the target compressor speed is. So frequency is how they measure the speed. So it actually tells you how fast the compressor is going and how fast it wants to go, how fast the fan is going, expansion valve positions and so on. This is something you don't normally need to record. If you're a fridge engineer, you'll love this stuff. If you're a heating engineer, you won't. So if the ambient temperature has changed between when the unit wasn't running and when the unit is running, especially if it's dropped more than a couple of degrees, you need to speak to your techie because you've probably got some kind of air bouncing or something going through the unit twice. So it's one of the key things to measure to see if you're going to have high run temperature and so on. So that's really the only thing I need out of ODU. The ambient temperature before running and ambient temperature after running. So once you've done all that, you come out of that screen back to normal and everything is good.